Barton Springs are the holiest place in Austin, Texas, and for many years they've been thought of as the soul of the city. The Barton Springs segment of the Edwards Aquifer is much smaller than the San Antonio segment, so travel times and residence times of water are much shorter, and the watershed that recharges Barton Springs is heavily urbanized. These factors make Barton Springs the most vulnerable to pollution of all the Edwards Springs. There are 4 large spring openings here. Upper Spring, in the bed of Barton Creek, is the only Edwards Aquifer spring left that still has the appearance of a fountain. The early travelers and explorers described most of the Edwards Springs that way. Eliza Spring emerges on the bank of Barton Creek in a deep concrete amphitheater that has been set aside for the endangered Barton Springs salamander. On the opposite bank, Old Mill Spring is also surrounded by a rock structure, and it discharges its flow down the banks to Barton Creek. Main Spring emerges along a limestone shelf and fills a 900-foot-long swimming pool that Austinites regard as sacred. Here, Barton Springs pilgrims submit to the embrace of these cool aquamarine waters. Notice what's missing in this picture is the pilgrims. Hydrologists have been warning for many years about diminishing water quality at Barton Springs. Pollution and pool closures here serve as a warning for all Edwards Aquifer users. The combined discharge of all the Barton Springs flows for a short distance into Town Lake in downtown Austin. The story of a fish kill in Town Lake in 1961 was included by Rachel Carson in her book Silent Spring, the book that started the modern environmental movement. That incident launched an environmental awareness here in Austin. Among Texas cities, only San Antonio has a stronger environmental ethic. Over the years, these springs have been the subject of some intense battles over development. In 1990, Austin residents overwhelmingly passed a Save Our Springs ordinance that would have implemented strict development controls, but it was overturned by the state legislature. A great deal of the watershed is now densely developed. In 2006, the United States Geological Survey published a report that found Barton Springs is affected by persistent low concentrations of atrazine, an herbicide, chloroform, a byproduct of drinking water disinfection, and tetrachloroethene, a solvent. In 2008, the fight to preserve Barton Springs was a subject of The Unforeseen, a documentary co-produced by Robert Redford, who learned how to swim there as a child. The movie uses the struggles over development around Barton Springs to illustrate the many clashes between private property rights and resource protection that are occurring in Texas and across the country. When you add up the people's very limited powers of self-protection, the conservative bias of the governmental framework in Texas, and the power of business interest at all levels of the political system, there seems to be little that citizens can do to protect cherished natural spots like Barton Springs. Many professional hydrologists feel that uncontrolled urbanization in the watersheds feeding the springs will eventually cause Barton Springs to be degraded to the point where they will have to be permanently closed to swimming.